Well, welcome to another Mayor's Hour. We're here at MacDill Air Force Base, Jack. This is one of our favorite shows to do every year, and particularly because the show we're going to do coincides with the AirFest, which is now back in the Tampa Bay community. We lost it for a year because of sequestration, but thanks to Colonel DeThomas, who we're going to hear from in a little bit, as well as some of the business community leaders, they stepped up. And we've got another air show coming up this weekend. I love the air show.
Oh, it is a phenomenal thing. For those who haven't been here, I mean, on so many levels. First of all, it's a chance for people to come to MacDill Air Force Base, get acquainted with the base, and see what the base is all about. But secondly, it brings together these two communities, and it's just, and there's so much to see at the AirFest itself. And this year you've got the Thunderbirds coming in. And that's an awesome air show, but all of the static displays and all of the other things out here are just phenomenal.
Well, as you can tell, I've got my flight suit on. I want you to zoom in on this.
Swagger.
I have my call sign, thanks to Colonel DeThomas. We're going to get to go up and fly in just a little while with the Geico Skytypers.
And you might end up being called Stagger after that.
Yeah, I may end up staggering if they do too many loops with me. But it's I love being out here. I just love the smell of aviation gas and an opportunity to celebrate the young men and women that serve our country and see some of the amazing tools that they have.
Yeah, and you look at it from just an economic standpoint, it's like a $5 or $6 billion economic impact on the community, and it brings so many retirees who come down here and live after they get out of the military. They say, I want to go there, I want to be there, and having the advantage of the air base here where they can go to the BX and things like that is just tremendous.
It is, and for the folks that come out to the air show, they're going to get to see NOAA aircraft, they'll see the Air Force, they'll see Navy, they'll see Army helicopters, they'll see the big transports, they'll see pretty much everything that you can imagine. My kids love it. I'm like a little kid when I come out here. I mean, I just walk around in awe of the men and women that fly these aircraft and the technology that we have. So we're going to have a good show today. We're going to get to see Colonel DeThomas. We're going to get to meet the air show boss, and then we're going flying.
I can't wait to see you flying.
Stay with us. I'll be as green as this shirt. We'll be right back. Thanks. Johnny, you're making me proud. That's a good thing. All right. Let's fight to the death, all right? All right. 2, 3. Wow. Efforts will fully inflate. You're ready to enter the water. Jack, we're back with one of my favorite people. He is the mayor of the Air Force Base here.
That's right. That's a good way to put it.
He is the wing commander, Colonel Scott DeThomas. His call sign is D-Tom, and he's been a great addition to our community. We've enjoyed getting to know he and his wife, and he really has come in. How long have you been here, D-Tom?
It's gone on about 20 months. It's hard to believe it. 2 years is almost up this summer, but been fantastic relationship, and working with the city and greater Tampa Bay area has been fantastic. So
do you go to another assignment after this? I mean, do you already know when your assignment here is concluded and where you go next?
We'll start to see some of that shake out in the spring. The Air Force right now is working on the summer game plan, we call it. So sometime in probably the April-May time frame, we'll get official word of what's going on next. But we know it's coming. We know that by July or August, the next guy's en route, and he'll get to pick up the pieces and carry the ball the next 2 years.
July and August of this year or one more year?
This year.
Wow.
It goes by quick. 2 years.
I realize you were bailing out. Seems like you just got here.
Trust me, I don't want a mayor. Maybe you can make a phone call. I'd stay as long as I could.
He's got friends in the high places. Colonel, if you can explain the structure of the command here, the commands, I should say here, because most people don't realize when you say, well, he's commander at MacDill Air Force Base, they think, oh, he runs CENTCOM and SOCOM and all of the other commands, NOAA, I guess even.
Right. That's a great question, and I think Swagger made it perfect when he said, I'm the mayor of MacDill. Two big mission sets. We fly airplanes. We have an air mobility mission at KC-135 C-37 aircraft. That's the operational side of the a two-pronged mission. The other mission is taking care of this wonderful base and all the people that come to work here every day. So when we hear about the agencies that live and work on MacDill, those are my customers. They're the folks that my almost 4,000 airmen take care of every day. In case folks didn't know, about 15,000 people come to work every day on MacDill. We have 38 different agencies. Obviously, the two biggest are led by 4 stars in Central Command and Special Ops Command, and I become the guy that provides them everything they need to be successful. So they look to me and the airmen that work under the wing to provide everything from start to finish to make their job easier.
So he has to worry about potholes and cats in trees, just like I do.
Electricity issues, water problems. I get those calls.
Okay.
He's got his own fire department, his own police department, you know, his own maintenance department. It's no different than what I do.
You guys have a lot in common here with that kind of thing.
We do indeed.
Except you don't have to worry about CENTCOM and SOCOM keeping them happy. You just have a council and a bunch of other people like that, fussy people around.
Yes, high maintenance people.
Plus, I don't have to get elected, so that's a little bit of a nuance that I'm fortunate that
they'll send you here. But this has to be a pretty good gig, I would think, given the importance of this base.
It truly is. It's been a blessing to be part of this community going on almost 2 years now. Probably the highlight of my career. I can't ever imagine a better assignment. Great people, great community, great mission. And when you put it all together, it really does lead to a lot of success. And I'm sure we'll get into that as the discussion progresses, but that's what this is really all about. The opportunity to open the base to this wonderful community of Tampa Bay, showcase the men and women that work out here, these great airplanes, and the great facilities that are really on the backs of our taxpayers. This is your base, and we're excited to be able to invite you out here.
Well, D-Tom, you're also an aviator. What have you, and you came up through the ranks. You started out as an enlisted guy?
I did. So way back when, in fact, next month will be 32 years since my first enlistment. Started in the Army National Guard.
Started as an 8-year-old or something like that.
17 to be exact. And so I did Army for about a year in the Guard, a year and a half active duty Air Force before getting picked up for the Academy. So I've taken a bit of the longer route, but it's been a fantastic route to take. I've been very fortunate as far as airplanes go. This excites me. I'm in a bag, and we get to come out here and be around fellow
The bag
aviators.
would be this, yeah. Fellow aviators. Fellow aviators.
Fellow aviators. Cool name tags and bags. That's what it's all about. But I've been blessed. Now I'm current in the KC-135, which is an awesome airplane. I've spent my life previous to that taking gas off this beautiful old airplane. I flew C-17s, EC-130s, which are both refueling capable. So we always took gas from the great tanker in front of us, but now we get to give back and give gas, which has been fantastic. Also flew T-37s, T-38s, and T-1s, which I think we'll have out here on the ramp this weekend. So it'll be good, a bit nostalgic to see some of the old systems that I've been part of.
B-52, and I haven't seen one of those since maybe Vietnam days, unless there was one out here at one of the previous air shows. That's an awesome thing to see.
Awesome airplane, but also another reminder of how old some of our aircraft are.
Going back to the 50s.
Right, so the KC-135, we average about 55 years old out on the ramp here today.
Wow.
I bet you the guys taking care of the Buffs, the B-52s, are even older than that. And the books have us, both of those airframes, on inventory till about 2040. So they'll be 80 to 100 years old before we finally retire them.
Now, when you come up in a C-17 behind one of these tankers, C-17 is a much bigger aircraft, isn't it?
It is.
What's it like? You do it at night in a storm and they have to refuel you?
It's incredibly challenging. There's a couple different perspectives. So it's probably one of the airplanes that scares the most out of the boom operator because of that high T-tail. So at 300 knots, that big T-tail is pointing right into the eyes of that young boom out there driving the boom into the back of the top of the airplane on the C-17. That can be a bit frightening. On top of it, it's the pilot's job to make sure it's controlled. With an airplane that big, it really disrupts the airflow around both airplanes. So any sudden movement, any jerking of power or inputs, you create turbulence behind the airplane. And when you're 18, well, actually the minimum is 12 feet, 18 to 24 feet behind somebody at 300 knots, you can see how one bad mistake can cause a lot of bad things to happen. But it's also probably one of the funnest things you do to be up there and see that aerial dance in person and being able to connect to a tanker. In the middle of the night, it never comes easy. It's always when you're looking at the gauge and it looks like it's about to be empty and you know you have to get the tanker, and kind of puts a little extra pressure on it. But it's one of the skills that we train our folks to, and Air Force does a great job training both the givers and the takers in that scenario.
Yeah, that's got to be amazing to go up and train for the first time. Say, okay, it's yours, take it. I'm thinking, whoa. You know, flying's one thing, but doing that is really special skills.
Now, what's the, tell us about the air show this year. I mean, there was a hiatus of a period of time. Now the air show's back. You're in charge. You largely made it happen.
Well, I will take no credit for this. This air show is really on the backs of our great community. So the concept of a community-presented air show started over a year ago. When we were leading into last March, we knew the effects of sequestration and budget drills were coming. We were on the ropes to have an air show at all back in March, and the community had already been reaching out to me. D-Tom, what can we do to help make sure we still have an air show? We know it's going to get tight with the budgets and some of the money are going to go away. And we said, okay, well, stand by. If we can do it, we'll pull it off. We'll work together. We'll make it work. Well, unfortunately, the Air Force canceled all the shows in 13 back in about the 1 April timeframe. So we carried that forward to this year, where we are one of only 4 bases in the command, Air Mobility Command, to have an air show, which is great for us and for the community. But the other thing is the Department of Defense has reduced the budget. For me, it was about a 30 to 35% reduction in how much money I could actually put into the air show. Being the great community that we have, they were like, hey, can we help? And I was like, well, here's what we're going to be able to do with my budget. If we could just get a little more, then maybe we could get to the level that we wanted to be at and put on a world-class show. So what's happened in less than 90 days, which is another amazing part of this whole thing, is the community's come up in full support, has helped raise the difference between what would have been a good show to what I really imagine to be a great show. And it's on the backs of our community. Tampa Bay has been fantastic. The surrounding communities have come up. They've worked together. It's really been a neat thing to watch as the greater chamber, working with the other chambers, came up on the network and built some bridges together to raise funds to allow us to have so many great acts this weekend. So it's going to be a great show, and it's really a Tampa Bay community activity.
Well, you know, putting on something like this, I mean, this is almost like putting on Woodstock or South by Southwest or something like that out in Austin. I mean, this is such an enormous undertaking when you consider moving all the aircraft, all the vehicles around, coming into a highly secured area and allowing a couple of 100,000 people, come on, just come on through the gates here. We're going to open our highly secured doors to you here like this.
Right. So the good thing is we have some great planners in the Air Force. Like I said, my previous comment, this is the first time we've tried to do it in 90 days or less. So the average air show planning is 6 to 12 months. We normally start about a year out and get the process rolling. Because of the new budget constraints going into this fiscal year, we really didn't know where the department was going. We had heard rumblings there might be some, but it was going to be limited. And we really didn't know until almost the end of December that we were going to A, have the Thunderbirds, and B, we were going to do a show on March 21st. So we went from, hey, typically 6 to 12 months to, hey, you got less than 90 days and go forth and prosper. So that's where the community has helped up. Because we've had folks out in the community helping us fund some of the activities, it's made it easier on our great air bosses, and you're going to meet Major Matt Parker and Major John Schwartz. Those guys have done fantastic leading a team to make it work in 90 days or less. And it really should be transparent to the general public and the community that comes out, because these guys are fantastic. You surround yourself, you know this, Mayor, you surround yourself with great people and things happen, and that's what we've been very fortunate.
And while all of this is going on, you've still got to be mayor of this community and make everything happen right with CENTCOM and SOCOM and NOAA and all of the other units that are out here.
Well, they're great teammates, and that's one of the things that I've really strived to teach folks and reinforce, is that these are our teammates. We're all here to make each other better. So the fortunate part is the relationships that have been established on the backs of the men and women before me have gotten us to a point where a lot of discussion about working with 4 stars and 54 general officers and 57 coalition nations. The fact is, it's a great team, and the team works well together. When we need something, we work it out and we find solutions. And really, that's what probably the biggest takeaway I've had in my almost 2 years here on base, is that it's fantastic when folks get along and have a common goal. And I think we all agree that having the best Air Force base in the world, surrounded by the best community in the world, is what we're all aiming for.
D-Tom, we got about a minute left. We saw an announcement in the paper the other day about transition in the fleet.
Right.
What's happening?
All right, so a reminder to everyone, the disclaimer, I'll be honest, broker up front, that is a proposal to possibly bring some tankers here in the out years being in the 17, 18 time frame. That would be a logical step as KC-135s come off the books where the new KC-46 is going. The reality is that is an Air Force submission proposal to the Department of Defense to the Congress to be reviewed and approved. If it all works out, it sounds like there's a chance that we'll get 8 more additional KC-135s here, which will more than likely result in a couple 100-person bump up and more airplanes on the ramp, which I think we all would be happy to see.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, it's great news. All right. Our friend, Colonel Scott DeThomas, if you don't get to see him before he leaves, he's been a great partner for this city, and we absolutely will miss you guys when you go. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We got a great show coming up, and you're going to get to watch us fly.
Fly boy here.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see that.
We're going to be conducting training with A-10 Warthog receivers out of Moody Air Reserve Base out of Valdosta, Georgia. By achieving and maintaining some sustained contacts with them, the receivers need the training as far as everything it takes to fly up to us, get into contact, actually be in contact, maintaining currencies for me, actually affecting the contact. And then it's also training for our pilots up front because they have to fly so many missions against a heavy type receiver. So everybody's getting a little bit of training today.
We're going to be taking off out of Tampa. There's going to be some thunderstorms in the area, but we'll be kind of turning around those and staying clear of those. We're not offloading any gas today because it's just for training contacts. The aircraft is actually much closer than you'd expect, 10 to 13 feet actually, and it's going to be moving around a lot more than one might think. And we can feel every single movement that's made in the back. We can feel that up front. It turns the entire aircraft. So we're constantly compensating for every movement that the receiver pilot makes and every movement that the boom operator makes with the boom as she's flying that around too. So it really is a coordinated effort between the receiver pilot, the tanker pilots, the boom operator, everyone. We're all talking through the whole thing.
It gets kind of tricky because obviously 2 aircraft flying in close proximity is inherently dangerous and it's not recommended. However, when you got solid crew up front, solid receiver pilots in the back, that makes my job inherently easier because I'm following them around, making sure everything stays safe. We have our pilot director indicator lights, and when a receiver aircraft comes in, at the angle that they come in, they're going to see those lights. Now, they're not the brightest in the world. However, there's a big F for forward and a big A for aft, and then you've got a big U, meaning they're going up too high, and there's a big D, meaning they're going down too low. So they use those pilot director indicator lights, or PDIs as we call them, to make sure that they stay within that air refueling envelope. And depending on how close to kind of the center of the air refueling envelope they get, different lights are going to illuminate, so they can use the visual signals off those PDIs. Plus, if they need a verbal correction from me, they're going to get it as well. The only indicators they don't have, in which case they use more of the engine cowlings and just kind of a sight picture, is when they go left and right. For this particular receiver, they are what we call boom interphone capable. So when we actually make contact with them, when we put the boom into the receptacle, we can talk to them as if we're talking to each other on the aircraft. That way we're not transmitting out on a radio frequency in case bad guys listening. So that helps as well. It helps, you want to keep it formal, but it takes away a little bit of the formality of it because you can talk to them, say, hey, how's it going? All right, you guys are looking good. The more calm that I can project to him or her who's flying, that tends to work.
Welcome back to another segment of the Mayor's Hour. We're out here at MacDill Air Force Base. Jack, we just heard from Colonel DeThomas, the wing commander. We talked a little bit about the air show that's coming up this weekend. And we got the guy that's got to pull it all together, that's got to herd all those squirrels. He is Major Matt Parker. He is the, what do they call you, the air boss? Are you the
AirFest director?
AirFest director.
That would be the fest boss.
Yes.
He's the guy that's got to make it happen.
And if you can imagine, between, like you said, all the security arrangements and the traffic and, you know, coordinating all these assets that are going to be flying in here and, you know, making sure there's beer at the officers club. I mean, all the important stuff.
That's right.
Welcome to the Mayor's Hour. Thanks
for having me.
Yeah, the last thing you needed to see was us before the air show.
No, this is great. This is great.
On your plate. So tell us what's going on. What's your job?
This is a blast. We're in final preparations and setup mode for this weekend. Everything's looking good. Gates are going to open at 8 a.m. We'll have something flying starting at 10 a.m. and landing around 4, but every minute there's going to be something in the air, doing flips, making noise, so it's going to be a great time.
Well, that's the great thing, because there's always something going on. Anywhere you look, something's beginning to happen. And the other great thing is we're going to have good weather for the weekend, and that's something you have to worry about and you can't do anything about. That's the one thing you can't control. But it looks like Mother Nature and good Lord's taking care of us on that one, and you are going to have good weather. But the other thing is there's so many great static displays, and there's always something to do as you walk along and you look for the shorter lines and get in them and go aboard and all of those kind of things. You're going to have a bunch of those again, I'm sure, this year.
That's right. We couldn't be more excited. We've got almost every airplane in the Air Force inventory will be on this ramp, open up to the public so they can get an up close look at them. Also, we've got Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office is bringing a helicopter in, some boats. We've got some Marines bringing vehicles in. So all the services are participating. There's not going to be a dull moment.
Wow. How do you secure something like this when you have so many people coming in? And I know it was something you didn't really think about, say, before 9/11, but obviously since then things have changed at bases all over the country. And I know, having come here many times, you've seen the changes take place. But how do you secure something like that with that many people coming on and just driving their cars on the base?
Absolutely. When we started this thing, that was one of the first questions we had to ask ourselves. How do we put on a safe show, but also secure the base and the assets that are here? Our defenders do a great job. They've been working tirelessly every day to put a plan together, and they're confident. They've given Colonel Thomas a plan that he's okayed, and we're happy to have everybody on base, and we're doing it in a safe and effective manner.
It's pretty amazing when you see the defenders, as you call them, the MPs and whatnot, around some of the more sensitive aircraft. You're not going to get close to them. I mean, they've got their M16s and they're locked and loaded. But it really is an amazing ballet, if you will, of things that are going on here, and having to navigate that and organize it really is a tough job.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the unique challenges is being able to make security tight, but also make it seamless to the public, and that's what we've done. So everyone will be able to come out and enjoy the show.
And I was thinking about the coordination it takes to, from the standpoint of air traffic control, when you have all of these vehicles in the air, not to mention in coordination with Tampa International Airport, that's got to be a monstrous job for these guys.
That's right. So normally we have our military controllers controlling the base like they are right now for the air show weekend, and as well as a Friday practice show. We've got a civilian air boss is what they're called, and he's a retired FAA controller, and he'll take control right at 10 a.m. when the aerial acts start, and he'll have control over MacDill's airspace, and he's the one that choreographs all these great demonstrations. He runs the air show circuit, so he's a veteran. That's his expertise, is air shows now. So we hand it over to him for the aerial portion of the show, and he gives it back to us at the end of the day.
And how does TIA air traffic control work with you guys during an air show day?
Right, it's called a TFR, a temporary flight restriction, and there's some paperwork that goes into it, but basically they've published the fact that MacDill's having an air show on Saturday and Sunday. We've got 5-mile ring around the base, and all the civilian traffic knows to stay clear of that, and the Tampa controllers will make sure they do that. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's amazing that you can coordinate it like that. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally from New York, and I've been down here in Tampa for about. I'm from Long Island.
Oh, Long Island, or Long Island, as they used to say.
And you're an aviator also?
I am. I'm a KC-135 certified pilots, just like Colonel DeThomas.
Oh, so you've gone through that thing, having to try maneuver that thing around while somebody's refueling.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a great assignment. I couldn't have asked for better. It's been great.
And how long have you been flying that?
I've been flying coming up on 10 years now.
Wow.
So I started on KC-135s, and then I actually cross-flowed into the C-21. It's a Learjet, kind of like a private jet for the government. I flew in DC for 3 years, and then I
flying
came down
the admirals
here.
around.
That's
and
right.
The generals.
That's right. And then came down here.
Great gig.
It was a lot of fun. Definitely an interesting town and an interesting job. Yeah,
now,
great.
are you an academy grad, or did you come out of?
I'm not. I actually went
ROTC?
to ROTC at Syracuse University up in New York.
Where was it?
Syracuse.
Oh, Syracuse.
Upstate New York. That's
upstate
where
New York.
my dad
That's right.
graduated from Syracuse.
Oh, okay. Great.
Big Orange, as they call it.
We got a big game tonight.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the basketball game.
Sure. The NCAAs are underway right now, by the way. Make your brackets now. But
So, have you deployed over to Afghanistan and
I
Iraq?
have. So I just reached 10 deployments. I've been over to both Afghanistan and Iraq. So that's where I spent the bulk of my my first probably 7 years or so doing, and then I've deployed twice since I've been here.
And the job of the refuelers over in Iraq and Afghanistan, obviously the Afghanistan situation, there's not a lot of air combat. So are you just, flying support and gas in the aircraft so as they do their patrols?
Absolutely, yeah. It's actually similar to what we do here in our training missions out over the Gulf. We've got boxes, essentially areas that we do the air refueling in. We set up an orbit, a circular pattern, and the fighter aircraft can come up to us at any time and get gas, and that's pretty much what they're doing over
So your
there.
day consists of 10 hours of flying the box?
Absolutely.
Waiting for
Going
aircraft
from box to box and refueling them. So, yeah,
Boy, that's
we're
something.
there when they need it.
And what type of aircraft do we have over there that you guys would normally refuel?
We've got pretty much everything in the inventory. Everything in our inventory can refuel, except for the C-21, some of the civilian jets, the G5, but everything military made can refuel.
So, and a lot of folks think they just fuel the Air Force guys. You're fueling Navy guys, you're fueling
That's
Army?
right, all services. And the Navy does it a little bit different. They use probe and drogue, it's called, so they don't use the boom. They use hoses that come off the wing, tip with the basket. So all services, Air Force, Navy, it's a combined effort out there. It's all seamless, so it really is one team.
So from your side on the KC-135, the fueler, if in Navy it's the probe coming out, and Air Force you're sticking the probe into.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, the Navy has a probe that'll extend out, and we have a basket that deploys, will expand, and then the probe will go inside the basket.
you've got to learn to do them both.
That's right.
Being on Bayshore, you see aircraft coming in and out all the time, and I'm always in my mind wondering, I wonder if that one's coming back from the Middle East somewhere, or I'm wondering if they're just on touch and go exercises or something like that. But I guess you do have a lot of people giving CENTCOM and SOCOM here. You got a lot of flights out of here that go to the Mideast almost every day.
Yeah, when you look up, that plane could be coming from overseas. It could be one of our local training missions, but we're truly worldwide here. I mean, there's guys that left yesterday. They're going overseas. So every day we got guys going all over the U.S. and all over the world. So it's a busy airport.
And the fueling tankers that we see, I mean, we see those going out. Those are actually going on missions out into the Atlantic on the way over there in those boxes you're talking about.
Correct. Yep. When we're not training, we're heading over. One of our main missions is to they create an air bridge is what it's called. So we hit the fighters up and create a bridge essentially across the Atlantic Ocean, because they can't cross the Atlantic without the help of our gas. So we create what's called an air bridge for them, and that allows them to go from the U.S. to overseas.
And how many stops do they have to make on a transatlantic flight?
We usually do anywhere from 6 to 10 refuelings on the way over. So. It's
6 to 10 times you've got to bring that thing down, and I'm thinking, do that once or twice. That's been a long day.
That's right.
But that's not the case.
Yep. They're very good at it, and that's what we spend the bulk of our time here doing when we're not flying the missions, is going up over the Gulf and practicing that for hours on end. So it really is second nature for those guys and for us, and that's how we want it.
So in terms of your career progression, I mean, how long do you think you'll be able to continue to fly on a regular basis?
Well, I'm coming up on 3 years here at MacDill, so probably going to move here shortly. But as a pilot, I hope to fly throughout my career, just like Colonel DeThomas.
Right.
He's well over 20 years. He's in a 30-year mark, and he's still flying. So
Right.
that's
probably
really
not as much as you would like.
Not as much as you used to when you were one of the younger guys, but having the opportunity to have a job where you can still fly a little bit is great, and I hope I can continue to do that as well.
That's great. Do you have any idea where you might be transferred to?
I don't yet. Still a secret.
Okay.
It's not going to be nearly as good as being here.
That's
I got to
correct.
tell you that.
That's right. That's right. We're very lucky.
Going back to the air show, when they sit down, how did you get that assignment, by the way?
He missed the meeting.
He must have. That's what it sounds like almost.
No, I was honored. Colonel Thomas actually chose me, and
That's great.
And I was happy to do it. So I've been a fan of air shows, and so I've never planned one before, so I jumped at the opportunity.
How do you start planning something like that? I mean, I'm thinking you call up, hey, could you guys send a B-52 over here for the weekend of 21st and 22nd?
More complicated than that. Yep, it's once we got approved to have the air show, people are excited to come to Tampa Bay. So it's not a hard sell to have them come down here, especially this time of year.
I can only imagine.
So
some of those bases that are out there are like that.
They did. They made it easy for me.
And you worked together, obviously, with the community to make sure we got this one we wanted.
Absolutely.
It was as good of an air show that they're expecting it to be.
Yeah, like Colonel Thomas said, we absolutely could not do this show without the community's support. They have been so integral to what we do. We've been working with them day in and day out, and we wouldn't have the show if it weren't for them. So we're super thankful, and we're happy that we can open up the gates to everyone to come out here and see what we have to offer.
You can probably expect a couple 100,000 people to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here where it's been a high of 450 to 250, but it will be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, and we're always on the radio trying to tell them how to get in best, go to Dale Mabry or MacDill, which one might be better, and that's a tough call. But what does it take to wind down from this thing? I mean, I'm sure the airmen really love it. The airmen and women just get a great kick out of seeing all the civilians and being able to show their stuff.
Absolutely. We call it
on the tarmac in the sun?
Right,
not so much.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we call it a working weekend, but I haven't met one person yet that isn't excited to open the gates. We don't get to do this often, so this is our opportunity to literally open the gates and welcome all our friends and family, our neighbors on our base, and show them what we do every day. So they're excited at the opportunity to do that.
You know, the amazing thing to look out here, we're right now 2 days away from the actual opening of the AirFest, and you look out here and you think, well, this looks like a normal day for the airstrip, and yet you come out here 2 days from now, there's going to be everything, food, vendors, static displays, airplanes flying in and out like crazy. And
sure is. And you probably saw the KC-135 flying earlier, so that was one of the balancing acts we had to do. It's hard to shut this place down even just for 2 days. So we're normal ops. As we set up to do this, we're still flying training missions. The job still has to get done. So we're going to fly right up until the end, and then we'll close it down, we'll have a good show, and then we'll be right back at it Monday morning.
All right. Speaking of being right back at it, Matt, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck this weekend. I know you're going to do an amazing job. We got a video coming up for you to see, and then we'll be back with some really cool stuff.
Uh-oh, is he going to be flying? Uh-oh, I don't know if I can watch this. I don't know if I can see this.
It's impressive. Top Gun's got nothing on me.
Oh, boy.
Swagger. Swagger.
Thunderbirds have been around for 61 years. We actually started at Luke Air Force Base, but then we moved to Nellis in Las Vegas. A lot of folks don't get a chance to come inside the air base that they live near. A lot of people don't live near military installations. A lot of people don't have folks in their family that have served in the military. It's not like the days of the draft where you could pretty much assume that your father or your neighbor next door has served in the military. Nowadays, in an all-volunteer military, it's crucial that we connect folks to the public. So the Air Force has the Thunderbirds. You know, our friends in the Navy have their demonstration team. The Marine Corps has the Silent Drill Platoon. The Army has the Golden Knights. All of those organizations exist to bring the military to people, and that's what the Thunderbirds do. We want to show folks what the Air Force is capable of. We want to showcase modern air power. And for the Tampa Bay Air Force 2014, you get a chance to come in and see what's going on at your local Air Force installation. Air Force pilots around the world all basically have the same few things. They have tenacity, they have determination, they have intelligence, they have grit. It's a lot of skill, a lot of training involved, very intelligent folks that do it. Aside from the pilots, you think about the maintainers, the public affairs folks, support folks that make this work. It takes a lot to get air power up in the air aside from just a pilot. Our pilots are amazing, they do fantastic work, but we're representing the entire Air Force. The aircraft that you see behind me are F-16 Fighting Falcons built by Lockheed Martin. We've been flying them for the past 30 years. We've got 11 total in the squadron, 6 of them you'll see during the demonstration. Amazing machinery with the Pratt & Whitney engines. They are fantastic. They are capable of going 1,500 miles an hour. During the show, we'll probably slow it down so you can actually see us while we perform.
Ultimately, the mission of the United States Air Force Thunderbirds is recruit, retain, and represent our next generation of airmen. So what we hope to do by coming to these air shows, by interacting with the American public, and interacting with fellow airmen is to show them the capability of the force that is out there to protect our nation's borders. So we're out here to show pride and precision. We're out here to recruit, hopefully, the most talented individuals that America has to offer in our nation's defense. And we're also here to pat the shoulders of the American public, to let them know that the people that are serving in this role are capable and are excited and motivated to do their jobs. Even to join the team as a pilot, you have to have at least 750 hours. The hulking majority of our pilots have most of that even in combat hours, with fighter pilots here having anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 hours just to join the team. Once you're on the team, we spend 4 months flying twice a day, nearly every day, over the course of our training season, which ranges from November all the way to March, to become qualified in our individual positions. Ultimately, the commander of ACC comes out to Nellis Air Force Base. We show him our air show, and he approves or disapproves our show for the year. Thankfully this year, he approved the show, and we're here today. The F-16 is an extremely well-designed fourth-generation fighter capable of multiple missions. First of all, it does air-to-air, so it's capable of defending our nation's borders from aerial attack, as well as employing against other air-to-air fighters, but it is also very good at the air-to-ground missions, so supporting troops on the ground, or potentially the interdiction role, which would be going into enemy lands and taking out enemy targets. It's capable of a number of other missions as well, but it's a multi-role fighter that sort of makes up the backbone of the American fighter inventory. We have absolutely the finest group of maintainers assigned to this squadron across the Air Force. They work day in and day out, and they have never canceled, or I should say our team has never canceled a show due to maintenance. So those guys will be working these jets for the rest of the day to make sure that they're ready to go this weekend. And I will tell you, it is absolutely backbreaking work. They work long shifts, they work 7 days a week, oftentimes 365 days a year to ensure that these aircraft are ready to go. And they represent a group of people across the Air Force, across the globe, that are working absolutely over holidays, weekends, in foreign soils, in our nation's conflicts, to ensure that these jets are overhead to support folks on the ground or defend our nation's borders. I only go weightless one time during the sortie. Most of the sortie, we're pulling anywhere from 1 to 9 Gs to make the maneuvers look the way that they do. For me, the bomb burst maneuver is sort of the carrot at the end of the stick throughout the course of the show. I think each maneuver does a good job of demonstrating a capability of either the pilot, the machine that we fly, or the guys on the ground that get the aircraft themselves ready. But for me personally, all of the maneuvers that we execute out there build up to the bomb burst, where at the end of the show, the diamond formation flies over the crowd. We each separate, Thunderbirds 1 through 4, in a different direction away from the crowd. And then if we're able to do it right, and we're able to have an appropriate amount of teamwork, we all cross at nearly the exact same spot at the exact same time. And then ultimately rejoin out in front of the crowd to close the show. We have more than 60 shows lined up at more than 30 different locations all around the continental United States. We have a few trips to Florida, and then we have a fair number of trips anywhere from the Midwest out to the West throughout the course of the year. This is my first year on the team, or at least our first travel season after sequester last year, and it's you don't realize it until you join the team that all the faces you see, all the people you interact with, all the stories you hear, it's extremely uplifting, it's extremely motivating, and it drives you to work hard every day to try to do your job better.
All right, we just had the air boss on. Now we got the guy that really makes a difference, the guy whose my life is in his hands. We're going to go up in this aircraft. He is the owner of the team, the Geico Skytypers, Larry Arken. He is team lead 1, also an American pilot down here for the air show, and to get up there and do some pretty amazing things with these aircraft and his team. Larry, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but we'll find out. This is a costume for me. This is not.
I noticed that. You know, that's great. You got the flavor going and the
I do.
And
I got my own call sign.
You know, that's awesome stuff.
Yeah, I earned that call sign. Yeah.
Did you? There's probably some history behind that.
Yeah, I'm sure, as you well know.
Yeah.
But tell me about this aircraft.
Well, you know, these airplanes were built for the Navy. They're the Navy version. They made a Navy Navy and an Air Force version, or Army Air Corps at that time, and this is called the SNJ. It's built by North American. It was the same aircraft that was used during wartime as an advanced fighter trainer. So all the pilots that flew P-51s, Corsairs, Thunderbolts, P-40s, all started in this aircraft. Wow. The aircraft was used for advanced artillery, for surveillance at that time, and for pilot training. So all those pilots flew in this airplane. They actually flew it from the back seat where you'll be sitting.
And the student was in the front?
The instructor was in the front.
Okay.
And at first, the student was in the front, but then they took the student, put him in the back, and made sure he could handle it from the back before putting him into a Mustang or Corsair, because there were no two seats in that. And then they would just kind of give him a brief and say, go fly and don't hurt yourself. You know, so we use these airplanes because they're great history to them. They also are great for formation. We do a low-level formation demonstration with all 6 aircraft with opposing stuff and with the Diamond and with the Solos, very similar to what the Blues and the Thunderbirds, but a much more drilled-down version.
Right.
We also do something very unique. We write in the sky with puffs of smoke, creating giant messages in the sky.
Explain to our viewers how that works.
Yeah, what we do is we go up to about 9,000 to 10,000 feet. We set up 5 airplanes in what we call a line abreast formation. I have a computer in the number 1 airplane, and it data links to the airplanes, and it sends out puffs of smoke in milliseconds.
So the computer does all of the work on the smoke.
We do all the flying. The computer does all the work.
That's amazing.
And we can put out 25 letters in this digital matrix in less than 2 minutes.
All flying 5 abreast.
All flying 5 abreast. And each message is about 2 to 3 miles long. It's seen in about a 20-mile circle, and each letter is as tall as the Empire State Building.
So you get people who do proposals. They hire you guys.
Yeah,
to
we
ask
do.
people to marry them?
We've done our cases of proposals. Mainly, we're doing it for corporate promotion. Tomorrow, we'll be doing it actually to promote this great air show. You know, we're glad to see that the military air shows are back.
Yeah,
we're glad to see the Thunderbirds and Blues are back. Yeah. Tomorrow, we'll actually be telling people around the whole area that there is an air show going on at MacDill. And we'll be doing some Geico public service messages, Geico Sports and Military. We won't do any proposals unless you know of somebody.
No, I'm already married, so it won't help me.
And out of all of them, we've only had 1 or 2 that have failed. So I think our track record is pretty good.
Now, this obviously is a pretty safe aircraft.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a wonderful aircraft. It's made very strong. It was made under the military standards, which make aircraft strong. There's a steel roll bar in the airplane, supports the whole fuselage. Big radial engine, Pratt & Whitney 1340, has about 650 supercharged horsepower on it.
Wow.
So it's a strong airplane, and it's just a blast to fly. And hopefully I'm going to let you grab the stick a little bit and see how sensitive it is and give you a chance to fly it.
And how did you get in? I know you're a pilot, but how did you get into the formation flying?
Well, you know, everybody on the team, almost everybody on the team except for 3 of us are former military aviators.
Right.
We have Marine, we have Air Force, and we have Navy.
And what were you?
I was not in either of them, or none of them. My dad started this business when I was a kid.
Wow.
I went to aviation high school and got my aircraft and power plant mechanics licenses. I flew for Grumman Aerospace when I was younger. I flew corporate, and then I flew for UPS, and now I fly for American. I'm a captain for American. So I grew up in the formation world among all his military pilots and kind of learned how to fly formation and all the stuff that goes with it. But I'm one of the few, and my dad passed away about 6 years ago, but Geico is very nice to let us continue to support these air shows and show these airplanes off.
So he was the one that actually started the team?
Yes, he started the team when, let's see, it's about 27 years ago. This business has
Same aircraft?
Same aircraft. They've been rebuilt at least 5 times since then. The cockpit of my airplane all has glass and electronic displays in it for weather and so forth, so it's not as primitive as it was, but the airplanes are basically the same airplane.
And you guys do all the own, I saw the maintenance facility in your trailer up there. You guys, I mean, you're junkies. You're like, instead of gym rats, you're airport rats.
Yeah, airport rats, right. You know, my mechanics are probably the best warbird guys in the business. They rebuild the airplanes every winter. We have a shop on board the trailer that they can fix things with. We have actually a couple of issues that the Commerce Department is helping us with right here in their shop and letting us work with them in their shop to fix a couple of things that we have to do to get ready for the show, because we do, when we start our shows, we did last week in Titusville. This week we're at MacDill, and in a week and a half we're over at Sun and Fun, and then we go up to New York. So it's a pretty rigid schedule once we get into it, so the mechanics constantly have to maintain the aircraft.
So you just fly from show to show to show. I think I saw you come in Wednesday or Thursday night.
We actually came in Sunday night.
Sunday night, okay.
From Titusville. We flew them over, left them here. The pilots went home. Mechanics stayed and worked on them.
So here, what's a flight to New York like in one of these?
It's long. You can't move. You can't go to the bathroom, and coffee seems to never come even though you hit the button.
That's funny. No movies, huh?
No movies. No in-flight movies. You know, you're strapped in a rigid seat with a parachute and a harness on you, and the airplane runs slower. But the neat thing is, you're down low over the countryside, and you get to see the beautiful. I mean, the United States has such beautiful countryside that you can see. It's wonderful.
We're going to go see a little bit of Tampa Bay.
Great.
I'll be flying with Team Lead 1.
Yep.
I'll be sad sack in the back 2. And this is going to be a great trip.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to get to see some amazing scenery and fly in a vintage warbird and have a great time doing it. So stay with us. We'll be back soon. I'm going flying.
Let's go fly.
Off on your clear for takeoff. Roger that, tower.
Welcome back to another segment. This is actually going to be my favorite segment because I get to go up and fly in this aircraft that you see behind me. I'm joined by a father-son duo, both aviators of a long standing, Ken and Bob Johansen. Bob, Ken, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to do this as mayor. I don't get to do this very often. This really is a special show for us. And you know, I've been a junkie of air shows for 20 years, and I love watching what you guys do. These guys are the Geico Skytypers. What they do up in the air is really, really impressive. You got to come out to the air show to see it, but this is really pretty cool. Tell us what the aircraft is, what you guys do, what the Geico Skytypers are all about.
Sir, first of all, thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to show off our airplanes and what we do. We love this kind of event, showing off, having a passenger and showing off what we do both on the ground and in the air. What you can expect today is we're going to actually do a formation takeoff. There'll be either will be 2 sections of 2, and then the second section of 2 will join on us, which is somewhat exciting, or it'll be a 3-ship takeoff. So I'll be leading, and you'll be on my right wing, and Dad will be either part of the second section, he'll be on the left wing. We'll take off, and we'll basically head straight down towards Albert Whitted Field over Tampa Beach. We'll get a good view of Tampa Beach. We probably won't be over 1,000 feet the whole day. Be a nice view of everything around us. We'll come back in, and we'll do what we do for the air show. We'll do what we call a Delta break. And I will be flying a lead, and you'll see me pitch up and roll, and you'll probably be number 2, and you'll pitch up and roll right behind me. We'll get the gear down, and we'll land.
Wow.
Probably about a 25, 30-minute flight.
That's great. That's great.
And it's just a small taste of what we do at the air show. We'll be flying normal air show formation marks, so you'll see how close we actually are. And the show is about 19 minutes long, and it tells a little bit of a story about what these airplanes used to do back in World War II, which is a lot of fun. For skytyping, we use these airplanes for skytyping up and down the East Coast, mostly in the New York metropolitan area, up in Boston, and probably get a sample of that over the local area, promoting the air show and a few other advertisements. But the skytyping is actually rather interesting to see a 1940s airplane being repurposed with modern technology, GPSs, local area networks, where we're all tied together via radio, and the smoke is let out piecemeal. If you're looking at it from inside the airplane, oh, how does this form a letter? But if you're on the ground looking up, these letters are the size of the Empire State Building, and the messages can be up to about 3.5, 4 miles long.
Wow.
It's really phenomenal to watch. And we could do all different languages. We could do symbols. You can put a heart in there, a hashtag. We've done.
You can put Mayor Bob Buckhorn?
We can. I think we could do that, sir. It shouldn't be an issue.
Does it come with an air sickness bag?
It does. It does. I think we have one of those, but I don't think you'll need it. It's a beautiful day today, nice gorgeous. And calm air, blue skies. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think you're really going to enjoy it.
That's great. Well, we're glad you're here, Bob and Ken. Thank you. Thanks for the chance to fly with you. Stay with us. There's going to be a GoCam in the aircraft, so you're going to get to watch me. I'm not sure that's going to be an interesting sight, but we are ready. I'm ready to fly. Pull a few G's. You know, get a little inverted maybe, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks, guys. Stay with us. We'll be right back. great pilots, great aircraft. That was an amazing experience. Excellent.
The only people that get these patches are people that have flown with the team, not just from one airplane. So if you see someone wearing it, that's the tradition that goes with it. So first, I'd like to give you that.
Here, we'll take this one off.
It doesn't have Velcro on it.
Oh, okay.
So it can be sewn on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way I do it is I shake your hand, put it in it, just like I'm coining you.
Absolutely.
And then on behalf of Geico Skytypers, to you and the city of Tampa, because it's the first time we have been at MacDill and the city of Tampa, I'd like to give you that for your office.
That's great, Larry. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay.
You guys make us proud.
Well, thank you. We're glad to be here.
Jack, this was an amazing show. This is when it's really cool to be the mayor.
Oh yeah, and I love coming, and I love being on the Mayor's Hour because I get to come out here with you, and I enjoy being out here so much. I've been in the Honorary Commanders program, and where you can come on base at will, which is really neat. And we come over here all the time. My wife from Air Force family, and it's just such a tremendous asset for the Tampa Bay area. I mean, besides the economic ramifications, $5-6 billion impact or whatever it is. To me, one of the great things is the fact it draws so many great citizens to Tampa. These people who move here and say, I want to live here. I like this area, love this town, and I want to be near this base.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the caliber of the folks in Colonel DeThomas and Major Parker, and, you know, we've got a lot of 4-star flag officers, admirals, generals that retire here. It really is a special place, and we love our military families. You know, those are our sons and daughters and brothers and sisters, and this is a community that loves the men and women who serve us. And so the opportunity to be out here, to get a little flying in, to see this weekend coming up.
How was that flight, by the way?
It was unbelievable. I mean, to be able to fly over the city at a relatively low speed, at a low altitude, and see what a beautiful place we have was pretty amazing.
You didn't see anybody goofing off in City Hall or
No, I was
anything,
checking. I was looking. Yeah, I was looking. No slacking. There's no slacking in this administration.
One other thing I want to mention that's happening, it may have happened already during this show's run during the month of April, but is the Bollywood thing. Yeah. This is so huge. It doesn't have an impact in this country, for sure, and people around town don't really get excited about it, but when you consider the fact that Tampa was selected in competition, it was in Macau last year, nothing but international cities. The only time in North America was Toronto. That puts us in a class with Toronto.
Hopefully not the mayor of Toronto.
No, not the mayor. We definitely got a better mayor, or a more sober one, definitely.
Yes, I can't say that I've ever smoked crack, but I'll leave that to him.
But the fact that this thing, I mean, we get excited about the Super Bowl in this country and 100 million people watching. 800 million people around the world are going to be focusing on the city of Tampa and all of the beauty shots that are going to surround it and everything. This is going to be enormous internationally. And we beat out London and Dubai to get it here in Tampa.
We did, and we're excited about it. We've been practicing and training and learning about the Indian culture to make sure that our guests are have an enjoyable experience. I mean, it will be a worldwide, global audience. It's unfamiliar to most of us as Americans, but the Bollywood film industry wants to expand their brand to the States.
And they're even making a movie here, I understand. And there may be others to follow because people fall in love with this.
And, you know, people need to understand it's 3 times the size of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And so it is a global phenomena. And these Indian stars are worldwide stars. I mean, I've had the chance to spend some time with them, and I know you have too, Jack. Down-to-earth people, nice folks. But yeah, it's going to be big for us. We're going to roll out the green carpet, not the red carpet. Yeah. And we're going to celebrate the Indian cinema and the Indian culture, and I think it will pay dividends for a long time for us.
Oh, it certainly will. And I just saw a newspaper column the other day, and somebody was talking about how already efforts are underway to establish more business connections with India. And of course, we have such a great Indian American community here in the Tampa Bay area, and in Tampa particularly. And you got to thank them first of all for being able to help pull this off. And it's just going to be so huge, and I hope people are aware of how big this is going to be when you consider 800 million people are going to be watching that ceremony at the stadium when it
Well, the key
place.
is to not make this a 4-day event, to make it a 4-decade relationship. And so we've got to build on the success of this and establish those relationships for, you know, direct foreign investment and for tourism and for trade. I'm excited about it, but this has been an exciting day. This has
it
been
certainly
fun.
has been.
It's
And
been
what
fun.
a great thing the AirFest has been. Of course, it's when you watch this, it's already over, but we're hoping there'll be another one next year. And if you didn't make it to this one, you certainly want to come there next year. But you certainly want to thank our men and women in the Air Force and all of the branches that are serving at MacDill. And it's amazing to have SOCOM and CENTCOM right here in our community with such an impact on the world.
So from a great supporter of the military to Mayor Swagger, it's been a great show. We'll see you next month.
The fly
Take care.
boy.